these old things.
Every evening at exactly 7 p.m., she would rise from her couch and walk to the living room window. She locked it with a quiet, deliberate click, no matter what she was doing, reading, cooking, or even talking on the phone. At first, I thought it was just a strange habit developed after years of routine, but the precision in her movements, the tension in her shoulders, and the way her eyes scanned the backyard made it feel like she was sealing something out, or perhaps sealing something in. I first noticed her ritual when I moved into the house next door, a quiet rental tucked between aging maple trees. We weren't close at the time, but she was the kind of neighbor everyone quietly admired, polite, soft-spoken, and always tending to her garden with gentle patience. She remembered birthdays, carried groceries for older residents, and waved even when she seemed tired. Nothing about her seemed unusual, except that nightly ritual where she tugged the curtain into place, double-checked the latch, and stepped back as if listening for something beyond the glass. Sometimes her hand would tremble for just a second after completing the ritual, and she would whisper something under her breath, too soft to understand, but unmistakably fearful. At first, I brushed it off as superstition or unresolved trauma she didn't talk about. But over the next few weeks, I began noticing little details that made the routine impossible to ignore. Fresh scratches on the window frame and faint claw-like marks in the paint beneath the sill. Once, I even saw the unmistakable imprint of a hand, larger than hers, pressed faintly against the outside glass. That was when I realized her 7 p.m. ritual wasn't just a habit, it was a deadline, a boundary she couldn't afford to cross. And soon enough, neither could I. The first time I noticed her locking the window, it didn't feel important. I had just moved in, with boxes stacked and curtains half hung. Through the thin gap in my blinds, I saw her standing by her window at exactly 7 p.m., securing it with trembling hands, and even from across the yard, I sensed the tension clinging to her like a shadow. At first, I laughed it off, thinking she was avoiding bugs or the evening breeze, or simply clinging to routine like many older folks do. But the more I watched her from afar, the more I noticed details that didn't fit. She always checked the backyard first, slowly and carefully, as if expecting movement. She pressed her palm against the glass with a hesitant pause, checking for warmth or traces, and once leaned in so close her breath fogged it, staying still for heavy seconds. Then came the whisper. Every night, right after locking, she muttered the same phrase, too soft to hear, but weighted with fear, not superstition. Days passed and life settled into its rhythm of work, groceries, and laundry, yet every evening, without fail, she performed the ritual with precision, not 6:59 or 7:01, but exactly 7 p.m., no delays or exceptions. Even when gardening outside one evening, she abruptly dropped her tools, wiped her dirt-covered hands on her apron, and rushed inside like someone racing a closing clock. Then I began spotting the marks, small scratches near the bottom of her window frame. Thin and uneven lines carved into the paint. At first, I blamed neighborhood cats until I saw deeper grooves, longer and heavier, dragging down the wooden siding like something had tried to claw its way inside. On one particularly cold evening, as I stepped onto my porch for air, I caught a glimpse that made my body stiffen. A handprint, not hers, but much larger, faint and fogged, as if pressed onto the outside glass not long before. The fingers were long, too long, and the angle strange, as if whoever left it had leaned close, peering in. She stepped forward, wiped the print away with shaking fingers, and forced the latch closed with a trembling breath. That was the moment I realized her routine was not a habit, but a warning, a countdown, and whether I liked it or not, I was now part of it. For the first week, I told myself not to get involved, reasoning that whatever her nightly fear was, it wasn't my business. People have trauma and guard their peace in strange ways. But curiosity, paired with the feeling that something was off, proved too powerful to ignore, and everything about her behavior whispered that something was very wrong. It happened on a Thursday night, a cold one that creaked the house wood like old panes as I finished dinner and scrolled my phone. Then I heard a sound, a dull, heavy thud from the direction of her house, not loud but heavy enough to lift my head. A second thud followed, then a third, not random or from the wind, but rhythmic, slow, and intentional. I moved to my window and peeked out. Her lights were on, glowing faintly over the side of her house where the window sat, the one she always locked at 7 p.m. I checked the time. It was 7:13 p.m., so whatever was happening was outside that window. At first, I saw nothing, just the quiet silhouette of her curtains, until I noticed a slight tremor in the fabric, a subtle movement like someone brushing against it from outside. My breath caught as I leaned closer, eyes narrowing to make out any shape or shadow beyond the thin curtain. And then, under the moaning wind, I heard it, a slow, long scrape, like nails dragging against the siding. The rhythm returned, thud, thud, scrape. I froze as her shadow appeared behind the curtain, moving toward the window stiff and hesitant, like every step was a battle. Her hand rose slowly and hovered near the latch, but suddenly, something hit the glass from outside hard. She jerked back with a gasp I could hear from my porch. The window rattled, the house shook. Then came something that made my blood turn cold. A voice, not speaking or whispering, but just breathing. Heavy, slow, wet, the kind that doesn't belong to anything human. She stumbled backward, clutching her chest, lips moving in prayer or plea, before darting forward to yank the thick curtain shut. The sound stopped instantly. The breathing, the scraping, everything, just silence. I didn't move for nearly a full minute, hands pressed to my window frame with white knuckles, heart hammering in my throat. Eventually, her porch light clicked on, spilling warm yellow onto the empty yard, making the surrounding darkness seem even deeper, like the night was retreating but waiting. I stepped back from my window and exhaled shakily. Whatever was outside her house wasn't an animal, a prank, or normal. That night, I didn't sleep because for the first time, I was starting to understand why she locked the window. The next morning, I tried convincing myself it had all been in my head. Maybe the thuds were falling branches, the scraping a raccoon or stray dog, though the breathing was harder to rationalize. Denial is comforting when the truth is terrifying, so I told myself a story I could live with until I stepped outside. The dawn air stung coldly as I walked down my porch steps, tugged by curiosity, worry for her, or instinct that trouble was near. I rounded the shared fence and made my way toward the side of her house, the side with the window. Then I saw them, footprints, wrong from the start, not shaped like a shoe or any animal I recognized. Long, far too long, narrow with a backward curve at the heel and no distinct toes, more like deep grooves. My stomach twisted as they led straight to her window, then stopped, not like the creature turned or wandered off, but as if it had vanished into thin air. I crouched and touched one impression. Cold, damp, the earth unsettled as if pressed with unimaginable force. I looked up at her window, half expecting her to stare back, but instead saw the latch still locked and scratched with 3 long markings streaked across the wood frame. Not claw or tool marks, but something else, like the siding had been burned, edges dark and jagged, paint bubbled and warped. My breath fogged as I checked around the yard for a logical explanation, but the worst was that the grooves didn't begin near the fence, road, or ground level, They simply started in the middle of the yard, as if the thing had fallen from the sky or appeared from nothing. That's when I heard her back door creak open. She stepped out slowly in a thick sweater, clutching a mug with trembling hands. Her eyes widened, seeing me kneeling in the grass. "You shouldn't be here," she said sharply. I stood, brushing off my hands. "I heard something last night and wanted to make sure you were okay." Her expression softened briefly before she glanced at the prints and whispered, frightened, "You shouldn't have seen that." "What is it?" I asked, her eyes filled with warning and sorrow. "It comes at 7, only 7, and only looks for the open window." A chill crawled up my spine as I asked again, "What is it?" She shook her head, her face telling the truth. She wasn't afraid because I didn't understand, but because she thought I soon would. She didn't speak right away, looking toward the woods behind her house, now much darker and deeper, flinching at a crow's croak above us. Only when sure we were alone did she motion me inside. Her living room was dim, curtains drawn tight, lamps with warm bulbs instead of bright ones. She set her mug down with shaking hands and sank into her armchair. I sat on the couch across, waiting without impatience, sensing she needed a moment. Finally, she said quietly, "I should have moved away years ago, but places hold memories, and sometimes memories hold you." I didn't see how that tied to the footprints, but stayed quiet, letting her unfold the story. "It started in 1989, the first winter I lived here. My husband had just passed, and everyone urged me to move in with family, but I couldn't. This house we built together." She paused, void. "One night, I forgot to lock the window." The air thickened as she continued. "I woke at 3 a.m. to breathing, not in the hallway or outside, but right beside the bed, slow, raspy, pained, like something not of this world struggling to exist." My skin prickled. I didn't dare turn my head, but saw its reflection in the dresser mirror, a tall, warped silhouette leaning halfway through the window, limbs too long, shoulders too narrow, and when it breathed, the mirror fogged. She shuddered violently, reliving the terror. "What did you do?" I whispered. I pretended to sleep, lay still for hours until sunrise. When I looked, it was gone. Window open, floor wet, paint around the frame melted. The same markings I'd seen outside. She looked up with warning etched deep. "That thing comes only at 7, after sunset, only if the window isn't locked. And if it gets inside, people don't survive that." "Has anyone?" I hesitated. She nodded slowly. "A family down the road in 93. The mother forgot one night. They moved after what they found in the bedroom, never spoke again. No one does." My heart pounded. "But why your house? Why this place?" She clenched her jaw, debating. "It doesn't follow people. It follows the land. Something's buried here, ancient, disturbed long before I arrived." I stared, unsure if she was delusional or if I'd stumbled into something horrific. She leaned forward, gripping my hands. "You must lock your windows every night at exactly 7. If even a minute late," her voice trembled, "it won't knock or call. It will just come." Her words replayed in my head long after I left, echoing in my living room. Lock the windows at exactly 7. It sounded absurd, like campfire superstition. But the fear in her eyes wasn't fake. It clung to me, followed me home, settled like unbrushable dust. All day I glanced at the clock, counting down to 7 without meaning to. I didn't want to believe her, didn't want to think something inhuman prowled nightly. But the footprints, those impossible grooves, replayed like an unwakeable nightmare. As the sky dimmed, my house felt colder, walls sensing the hour. I hovered near the living room window, watching the sun sink behind trees. At 6:45, I began locking every window, every latch, checking and rechecking like preparing for a storm, not a creature. By 6:58, all were secured, curtains drawn, everything in place. But a tiny seed of doubt wouldn't quiet. What if she exaggerated? What if nothing happens? What if these are just stories? At 6:59, I regretted deciding to leave one window slightly open, not wide, just an inch, to test the truth, to prove nothing would happen. I sat across from it in the dim living room. Silence was heavy, unnatural. No birds, wind, or cars, just the clocks ticking. 7 p.m. At first, nothing, and I almost laughed at myself. Until the air around the window shifted. The curtains moved, not from breeze, but something approaching. The temperature dropped so fast my breath fogged. Walls seemed to tighten, the house holding its breath. Then I heard the slow, dragging scrape, like something long and heavy sliding across the ground outside. Not footsteps, but worse, not how anything living should walk. I froze as the scraping stopped directly under the window. Then came the breathing, not human or animal, but wet, rattling, labored, as if lungs rotted inside a chest, each inhale a struggle, each exhale a growled sigh. The curtain shifted again, something dark passed behind it. I swallowed hard, heart hammering so violently I thought it could hear. I slowly reached for the latch, fingers trembling. Just as I touched it, a long, thin shadow stretched beneath the curtain, far too long for any human hand. It moved upward, reaching, searching. My breath hitched, fingers fumbled, and the latch clicked shut. The moment it locked, the shadow snapped back like a recoiling limb. Silence fell. Then, slowly, reluctantly, the breathing drifted away, fainter until the night swallowed it. When I dared pull the curtain aside, the window pane was fogged with moisture, and 3 long streaks, smudged, dark, unnatural, ran down the glass. I couldn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw those streaks, felt the shadow's cold fingers on the glass, heard the ragged breathing echo. I turned toward every dark corner, expecting it lurking beyond sight, waiting for my guard to drop. The rational me knew it impossible. Nothing inhuman could reach my window nightly at 7, but the evidence, the streaks, the cold, the sound was undeniable. By morning, sunlight barely shrank the fear. I traced the streaks with trembling fingers, analyzing. Not dirt or condensation, but deliberate, intentional, like marking presence, a message undeciphered. I snapped a picture to show someone, but even in light, the marks faded slightly under scrutiny, refusing proof. I called my grandmother immediately. Her voice carried calm authority. "I warned you. You didn't listen. It's testing boundaries. You can't play with it." "I just wanted to see if it was real. I had to know," I said, voice shaking. She sighed tiredly. "You always want to know. Curiosity is why it follows. Don't mistake courage for safety. It doesn't care for proof, only attention. You've invited it." I spent the day researching old folklore, local legends, obscure stories of spirits tied to houses, objects, time, countless accounts of things appearing at specific hours, marking windows or mirrors, dismissed as superstition. But patterns emerged, entities drawn to bloodlines, family homes, unresolved history. Every story waited for the right person and followed rules it set. If broken, consequences came fast and cold. Night came too soon. I felt it before sunset, air tightening, chest heavy. At 6:50, I prepared, triple-checking windows, locks, Every weakness, even leaving objects on the sill as barriers, won't stop it, but maybe slow or negotiate. By 6:59, everything was set. I sat with flashlight off, heart hammering as minutes crawled. At 7, I heard it, the wet, raspy breathing, louder, closer, not outside, but beneath floorboards, walls. The house trembled in anticipation. A whisper curled through my mind. I know you're awake. I know you saw. I will not forget. My hands gripped armrests, unsure if to fight, flee, or listen. One thing clear, this presence was intelligent, patient, waiting for my mistake. That night, I barely moved. The whisper echoed as residue inside me, not memory. I tried breathing slowly to ground myself, but the house pulsed alive. Every few minutes, a soft groan from walls like wood adjusting under absent weight. The air thickened, swallowing sound, as if the structure held its breath with me. I finally stood, walking cautiously across the room, each step deliberate, pressing my ear to the wall where the whisper felt strongest. At first, nothing. Then faintly, unnaturally, the dragging sound, like something weighted, shifting slowly inside the walls. Not animal or pipes, but purposeful. My instinct screamed to leave, but something pulled me to the old storage room at the hallway's end, a place Grandma rarely allowed entry, like the window rule. I hesitated at the door, hand hovering over the knob. The hallway felt colder, unnaturally, breath misting, thermometer flickering from 72 to 54 in seconds. I opened the door. The storage room looked darker than usual, even with hall light. Boxes stacked unevenly, old blankets draping furniture into strange silhouettes. Something felt wrong, like shadows were shapes watching. Air smelled metallic, rust mixed with damp. I stepped cautiously inside, temperature dropping further. My flashlight flickered and died completely. I froze. In pitch black, I heard the breathing, not from window or walls, but inside with me. Slow, wet, ragged, each inhale drawing warmth out. My stomach knotted as it moved, circling. I forced no panic, backing slowly toward the door, hand stretching behind for the knob. My fingers brushed metal, then something else, cold like ice in finger shapes. I yanked the door open, stumbled out, slamming it with all strength. Heart thudding, I leaned against it, breathing hard, not daring the hallway window or what might have followed. The truth clarified. Whatever came at 7 p.m. wasn't just outside, it was inside now, walls, spaces Grandma guarded carefully. And after what I'd done, it wasn't visiting, it was hunting. I didn't sleep at all. Every creak, house shift made me flinch as if something waited inches away. I stayed on the couch, lights on, blanket gripped like a shield. Dawn crawled, washing walls in pale gray, releasing tension. The heaviness faded, house and I exhaled. I knew then I couldn't run or pretend. I'd broken Grandma's sacred rule, trapped in her mystery she'd controlled for decades. I needed real answers, not whispers or shadows. The only truth might be in the small cedar box she kept locked in her nightstand, to open only if the house wakes up. It was awake now. Hands shaking, I retrieved it. Cold, heavier than looked. I slid a knife under the old lock, forcing it open. Inside, yellowed letters, brittle photos, a small brass key. But one letter topped them, my name in Grandma's shaky handwriting. I unfolded it slowly. My dear child, if reading this, the window has opened. Throat tightening. I never meant to frighten, only protect you from what took your grandfather. I froze. Grandpa died before I was born. Only one photo of him smiling on the porch. The letter continued. He heard tapping at the window one winter night, thought a branch, until seeing the reflection, a shape outside staring in. The next morning, he wasn't the same. Spoke of whispers in walls, footsteps in attic, shadows crawling wrong. He hollowed until vanishing one night. Hands shook harder. The thing at the window isn't spirit or person, but older, hungry, remembering faces, following bloodlines. It comes at 7 p.m. because that's when it first called him. I kept it out for years. Now you must. At the box bottom, beneath letters, a weathered talisman, iron ring on braided cord, ward, barrier, protection. Grandma had fought this her life. Now my turn. I walked to the window as sun set, talisman wrapped tight in fist. For the first time, no fear, understanding, resolve. House quiet, waiting, shadows lengthening as clock neared 7 p.m. When tapping began, soft but deliberate, I didn't flinch. Held talisman forward, feeling warmth pulse as something outside paused, like recognizing the object or me. Then, slowly, tapping stopped. Presence faded, walls settled. The house slept again. Have you ever experienced something that felt like it was watching you? Would you dare open a door or window you were told never to touch? If you enjoyed this story, hit the like button, subscribe for more chilling next-door karma tales, and share your thoughts in the comments below.